Good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Lacey Artemis here with Neuromix Consulting and the NeuroCurrent, my new podcast slash talk show type project. I am delighted today to be joined by Erin Sisko, the founder of the Elleiance Network, which I've been a member of for a little while. And I got the wrong well, actually, we're supposed to start there anyways. The Elleiance Network is doing the Business Impact Award for 2025. There's the link here, elleiance.ca. You can see the spelling on the screen, /impact-award-2025. You can also find that if you go to the actual website. The deadline to apply is next week, and that's really exciting. Erin, do you want to quickly tell us a little bit about this and how it came to be?
Sure. Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, the Capital L Business Impact Award is my annual funding award project. And how it came to be is, as you mentioned, I am the founder and I run the Elleiance Network, which is a business mastermind community for Canadian women entrepreneurs. And prior to going out and running the Elleiance Network full time, I spent about 15 or 16 years in the corporate world. And the last 10 years was working for the Business Development Bank of Canada, the BDC. And what I did there as a senior account manager is I did provide financing and advisory services for small and medium-sized businesses. So funding small businesses, I feel, is in my blood. And I know how critical it is for Canadian small businesses to be able to access the capital that they need to truly grow their business. So I ended up leaving the bank and going all in on the Elleiance Network, which was created to help women entrepreneurs create better connections to grow their business. And I do truly believe that social capital and making strategic, incredible business connections is the most important thing you can do as an entrepreneur. But as a close second, so is understanding the financial capital side of running a business. And I really wanted to figure out a way on how I could bring that aspect of business to the Elleiance Network. So after a couple years of brainstorming and trying to figure that out, I decided that probably the best way for me to start that would be through this funding award. And I feel very grateful and fortunate that in year one, I was able to secure 9 partners to deliver this award alongside of me. And we had a $20,000 funding program that went to one Canadian women-owned business. And in 2025, as you have so beautifully there on the screen, applications are still open till October 28th. But this year, we were actually able to secure 33 partners and $50,000 in cash and prizes for Canadian women entrepreneurs. And we are able to fund a lot more women this year. I think one more thing I want to add on that is this year we are funding the unfundable. And what I mean by that are there are 3 industries in Canada that are the least funded industries. And I really wanted to shine a spotlight on these industries and fund these incredible women who are working inside of these industries. So these are social impact service industries. And ironically enough, 83% of businesses in those sectors are run by women. So I just think it's very important that women who are building in these sectors get the opportunities that they deserve to access the right type of capital to grow their business, because these types of businesses are so important to the Canadian economy.
That's wonderful. Can you just really quickly say those three industries again? Because you kind of garbled out, the internet kind of killed you there. Just want to make sure that people hear it.
For sure. Yeah. So the three industries we are funding are businesses operating in the social impact industry, service, and creative-based industries.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I know at my end that got totally garbled, and I just wanted to make sure that people actually got to hear what it was. Yeah, so we've got a few things to cover here really quickly. Thank you so much for that. And I'm excited that I applied to that. So I'm waiting
Amazing.
to hear. So we were going to talk about, to start, the topic of entrepreneurship, which obviously we're both well entrenched in now, and why it might be a more attractive career path for women and, or in my case, neurodivergent people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a bit of a two-part question. So I feel very equipped to speak on why entrepreneurship might be a more attractive path for women. And there are many factors that are at play here. Some of the top ones are freedom and flexibility, and the ability to have control and to decide how fast and how high you climb in your career without having to always wait for permission to have that decided for you by somebody else to determine your worthiness in the organization and kind of where you land. So there are many more, and we could probably do a LinkedIn Live only on this topic, but that's not the purpose of today. So those are the two that I would say I hear the most, is that they're looking to create freedom in their life. They need flexibility of hours to be able to work the hours that they need to work to make their life be very successful for them. And then the last one is just that, which anyone who is coming out of corporate and starting a business can probably relate to that to a degree, in that in corporate, it does feel like you're working really, really hard and you're always waiting for somebody else, usually a man, to give you permission and kind of put the crown on you that now you get that next promotion. Now you've, climbed one more step up the ladder. And in entrepreneurship, I feel that women get to create that timeline and give themselves that freedom and flexibility to claim those titles on their own, and they're not waiting for permission to create really successful lives based off of the important work that they're doing. So yeah, those are probably some of the top factors that I hear in my work. Now you also mentioned neurodivergent folks, and I
Mhm.
think there are a lot of women inside the Elleiance Network that would identify as this. I think it's important to say that specifically for myself, I don't, but I can speak from what I hear and other types of conversations that I've had with women. And also just an observation that I've made. I actually, especially since getting to know and work with you, Lacey, I feel like I do hear so many entrepreneurs share that they have ADHD or are somewhere in that neurodivergent spectrum, and like really, really successful entrepreneurs, like entrepreneurs that have created millions and millions and millions of dollars of net worth and revenue and have impacted millions of people. So it's very interesting to me. Like there was actually a time And it has crossed my mind where it's like, is this superpower of entrepreneurs? Like, I don't identify as having ADHD. Like, is that actually going to set me back? Like, that was a question mark that I had, because how, like, the creativity and the freedom to allow your natural brain to work in its optimal state, not working against it, but working with it and for it. This just shows me the power of entrepreneurship when you learn to work with your own natural design and start to see the things that the world has always told us are holding you back and are keeping you small and make you different, are now what the world's most successful people are shouting from the rooftops as something that they have learned to leverage quite literally as their superpower, and has created massive success for them. So I am just loving all of this, and that people are no longer hiding these unique qualities about themselves, and they are able to bring their whole authentic selves into their business and create thriving organizations around it. So I'm I'm just seeing so much progress in this space. I would kind of love to throw it back to you and get your perspective on it as well. But that is what I am hearing and seeing out there in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and I am loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that you were saying about the struggles that women face in kind of finding that success and climbing the ladder, they very much parallel the experience of a lot of neurodivergent people, because we often, it's not so much men, not still men making decisions, but it's not men, it's neurotypical people that are like making decisions and kind of gatekeeping and holding us back. And like, actually, one of the things that you pointed out there, one of the stats that I found in my research is that people who have ADHD are 300 to 500% more likely to become entrepreneurs, because they just can't. I should say we, because I'm part of this group. We can't, and I struggle with this for a very long time. And one of the things that's kind of clicked for me recently, which is why I think that companies need to start paying more attention and being more open to making accommodations and being supportive of their neurodivergent staff, is that if you don't, we end up leaving, we break off, we go and start our own thing, and then we might end up becoming the founder of the company that becomes your primary rival or puts you out of business. I mean, potentially. And so that's one of those things. I think there's some organizations and companies are starting to kind of wise up about it, but yeah, the majority of entrepreneurs that I know are in that realm, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because we do get held back a lot by the existing systems, and we're capable. We do kind of, I mean, to be honest, it's a blessing and a curse. There are strengths. There's obviously weaknesses. Like, I have a lot of sensory issues, which is literally why NeuroMix Consulting exists now, because I was like, I got so fed up with just always being overwhelmed with most of the places that I went. And so it's actually been cool, because I partnered up with the Neurodiversity Change Foundation, and they have a program that they're looking to improve the like awareness and accommodations and support in a variety of different industries and areas. So, but yeah, that was kind of the main thing. Like, everything that you said, that we kind of have, our brains do work differently, and when we're able to work the way that works for us and harness our strengths the way that we know how to, it absolutely makes a massive difference. I have accomplished more in the last kind of 12 months of being self-employed than probably the previous 3 entire years that I was trying to build something on the side. So there's just no comparison. But we also kind of discussed briefly the kind of difference between you were sort of telling me about how you had started a company with a partner, a bakery, I believe it was, and that you were really into the like business strategy, and she was a lot more into the hands-on stuff. And I thought that was an interesting contrast, because I think for me, and I related this to you, that I feel like my autism side is the business strategy side. It likes the details and the logistics and stuff, and then the ADHD is the kind of creativity. Let's get in there, get our hands dirty, make a mess, and make something. So you don't have to be neurodivergent to kind of have those, but maybe that's kind of how it might map a little bit to this side of things. But I wanted to give you a chance to kind of speak to that as well.
Yeah. I think, just quickly touching on what you were saying before is that the corporate, it feels very much because you're put in a box with a job description, and that's just how it has to be, but it's why it doesn't work for so many people. And it will be interesting to see the evolution of this over time, because corporations need, like, we all need people, like, as leaders, we even need people to work for us. And it's entrepreneurs who are able to create creative solutions to problems, if that's what we want to call them. And it just, how I see this unfolding, if corporations don't evolve alongside, is that people are going to just choose to work for entrepreneurs because they are creating work environments that, again, are aligned with their strengths and with their lifestyle and with the opportunities that they need to thrive. So, yeah, I see that there could be some interesting shifts in that whole landscape going forward. But in shifting over to the bakery, you're right. In 2022, I bought a bakery, a local bakery that was for sale. And if I am being completely honest with you and your audience, I don't really know how to bake. So I did not buy a bakery because I'm passionate about baking. There was a really interesting business opportunity here that I saw. This was a legacy business in my city. It had been around since 1986, I believe, and had a really strong brand presence and needed a team or a leader to kind of carry this business into its next evolution and level up. And the only way that I was able to do this for myself, if I'm being honest, is that I found a partner who, like, it just kind of, the pieces fell together. And I feel like entrepreneurs can relate to this. Like, just when you start to see the puzzle pieces click and you're like, huh, huh, like your intuition and alignment is just like guiding you down this path, and like all these things that you're like, how is this all coming together, are coming together. So that is truly what happened with this bakery project for me. So business and entrepreneurship is my area of passion. I love all things about strategy and business. And I lived in the finance side for a very long time. So that is my strength. And when I came across my business partner and like the pieces started coming together, that is what crossed my mind is, if we do this together, what does it look like when you are growing and running a business and in a team atmosphere where everybody brings in such diverse skills and you only need to operate inside your zone of genius, not inside the hundreds and hundreds of hats that as entrepreneurs we all wear every day? What if you only had to do what you really, really loved to do, and then you had a business partner who did the things that weren't your strength, and you supported each other in that way? Could a business grow quicker if that was the model? So that was what I wanted to test out. And we bought this bakery in September of 2022. It definitely hasn't been like fully without challenges. So many learning lessons, but from a outsider looking in, or like looking at the numbers, it has definitely been a successful project. Her and I work really well together. We've found our groove, and we have very clear rules and responsibilities, which has been saved us on every occasion. And we have almost tripled revenue since we've taken over. We've grown the team from, I think there was 2 full-time team members and 1 part-time when we bought it, and we now have 8 or 9 team members depending on the time of year. So it is growing and it's doing really well. And it's been such an interesting perspective for me, because I also run the Elleiance Network, where I wear 100 hats and I do every single thing. And I birthed this brand out of my head, and it had never existed before. And I work super, super, super hard in like all of the things trying to figure it out. And then I have this other business where I literally only do things that are kind of in my wheelhouse, obviously learning and growing alongside of it, but I'm not doing 100 million things. So it's been really interesting for me to see the difference between starting a business from scratch and building a brand from zero up, to buying an existing brand and business with a business partner and seeing what can be done if you go that road in business. And they both, they're so unique, but I love that I have both of those experiences, and that you asked about it, because I love to share about it too. So I'm happy to talk further on any and all of that with anybody at any time if you're interested.
Yeah, one of the things that I've found myself, like I love to learn. I've been a lifelong learner. I've taught myself many things, some of them just out of my own interest and desire, and some of like the last year, like I said, I've learned so many new things just through building my own, business and this new brand, and developing like an actual like IP for the first time. And so I was gonna originally say, like, don't start a business if you don't like learning. But I'm like, the more positive spin on that is like, if you like to learn, consider starting a business.
For sure.
Because it will, like, it's about like growth. It's about becoming better and smarter. And the strategy, like I said, there's things that this was part of one of the sort of more minor reasons of me breaking out on my own, is that I wanted to do more in the jobs that I had, and I kept being based, like, kind of like you said, like everything's very siloed, and they like give you a role, and like that's what they want you to do. And I was an accountant, I was a bookkeeper, and like, we don't care that you can do graphic design, we don't care that you can do video editing, we don't care how good you are at it. Like, you are an accountant, that's what you do. Forget the rest of it. And as the ADHD side of me got really frustrated, really like restless, and just, and this is part of why when people have told me over the years, like, you got to pick one thing and hyper focus and only do that, and I'm like, that doesn't work for me. I need a business that allows me to kind of wear a few different hats, because otherwise I just feel really trapped and stagnant. And so I've fortunately found something that feels like there's enough variety to it that is working for me, but also has been a bit of a trial by fire, and sometimes exciting and sometimes stressful ways. But yeah, what you were saying about the community is the other part of it that's really critical, because being an entrepreneur, being self-employed, can be very lonely. And that's something I've heard very consistently. And I've come across quite a number of communities like the Elleiance Network over the last kind of few years. Some of them have come and gone, but this one's been really, I've made several connections through Elleiance that have been really wonderful. And I've reached out to you, and you've been very kind to kind of connect me with some people as well. So I know I wouldn't have gotten nearly as far as I have without some of that help as well. So it was what you were saying before about amplifying your strengths and kind of mitigating your weaknesses. Do you have any kind of like key, I guess, insights or takeaways from that side of things on your experience that you'd like to share here?
I think the only thing I would like to add there, and it's what you were just saying about, I feel that almost everybody gets into entrepreneurship because whether they identify it or not, you must have a growth mindset. Like you said, if you like learning, go into business. If you don't, honestly, don't. Not used to, like, it's not that positive, but it's true. Like, there's so much learning, but when you naturally have a growth mindset, it, like, you eat it up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there's so much out there for you to learn that it can almost feel overwhelming for your growth mind. Like, you have to kind of just like one step at a time, but like never ending opportunities. And the really cool thing is that everything you learn, you get to put back to work for yourself to build upon opportunities and to create potential for yourself that was never there before. And I think that's what helps to create these entrepreneurs that are just like insatiable around this, because the potential of what you are able to create when you approach your life with a growth mindset, and you are just constantly learning and applying and learning and applying, and like seeing every opportunity as an opportunity to learn and grow from it. um, it just makes all of life, I think, easier, because even though we are entrepreneurs and we work very hard and many hours on our businesses, we are whole humans also living whole lives. So, how we approach our business and how we approach our life are so intertwined, and it's just so beautiful when you can see what all of life is delivering to you as an opportunity to learn and grow from it. The other thing I've really loved through my entrepreneurship journey is going back to working with and amplifying your strengths and mitigating your weaknesses. How that's possible is by me also just constantly learning about myself. And I've actually really loved this journey of learning more and more and more about who I am and how I operate, and leaning into that and being proud of it. And, like so many of us, I was the exact same. I've had so many qualities or pieces of who I am as a human that in my younger years have caused me stress and like so many tears, and so many times I've said, like, I just wish that I wasn't like this, or I wish that I wasn't like that. And if I was more like this, then I could, you know, do more of the things that I want to do. Like, I like wished parts of myself away, and because they just seemed like they were working against me. And as I matured and grew and actually took the time to understand how I'm designed and how I could use every part of me for me, it's just been like, honestly, like this beautiful self-love journey of myself. And I just always create like any opportunity I have to learn more about who I am and how my brain works and how my heart works, and like what I am truly put on this earth to do, and how I can work every day to get more in alignment with that purpose. I'm just like, I can't get enough of it. Like, I'm just like so enthralled by learning about me. And like, that sounds so silly because we're in ourselves all day, every day. But through the journey of life, I know, I'll just speak for myself. Like, I just got so lost so many times, um, looking outside of myself as to what is the right, best path for me, looking at what everybody else is doing and saying, and never understanding how I could go inside and actually trust that would be a safe thing for me to do. And now that I'm finally at this place, I just, I'm so grateful for that. And I've come so far, and I'm so excited for how much more I get to learn and how much clearer I get to be, and, happier, and I don't know, just to put all of my gifts to use and know that they're here for a purpose. And like, as I uncover them, I get to share them.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with so much of what you said. I love that we're very on the same page with this, which is great. Speaking of learning, do a quick little plug myself here. So next week, actually, I am doing a webinar. I mentioned the sensory stuff earlier. So that's the primary focus of my company now, consulting around this. And the great thing that I've learned about this through the survey that I'm running, which you can find through my website as well, through my LinkedIn page. I've been collecting people's survey responses around their sensory experiences primarily at events, but I'm realizing that this goes beyond that. But sensory factors are something that we all experience. Neurodivergent people tend to be more sensitive to them, but it's not only us. And so the survey has been bearing that out as well. The people that have responded that have reported they are not neurodivergent are still reporting different issues. So I'm doing a webinar next week to kind of help to explain this stuff better, make it for the people that aren't really aware of it as much. Because sometimes when you become, somebody shows you something and then you start seeing it because like now you know what to look for. So that's kind of what this webinar is partly about, to help everybody understand just how important sensory considerations are. As I mentioned as well, the Neurodiversity Change Foundation is a new nonprofit that's been started, and I'm an associate of theirs, and we're working on some stuff together. And just again, to recap really quickly, the Capital L Business Impact Award 2025, which you can apply to up until next week on October 28th. Thank you so much, Erin, for joining me and having this lovely chat. And yeah, is there anything you want to close out with really quickly before we wrap up here?
I don't think so. Apply for the award, especially if you are a woman entrepreneur in Canada that is in one of the least funded sectors. Again, that is social impact, service, or creative-based industries. And yeah, I just want to thank you, Lacey, for the opportunity to have this conversation and to share with your audience. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. And with that, thank you for those who tuned in live. And you can always watch the replay. And there'll be more from me. And follow Erin. I'll put that back up on the screen really quick, at Elle.Elleiance or at Erin Sisko on Instagram and other places as well. So thank you. And until next time, this has been the NeuroCurrent.
Bye, guys.